earlier in 2019, I got to sit down with the brilliant Natalie Maddix. She is the founder of House Gospel Choir and someone that I've known for years on the scene. We first met when she was singing songs and writing poetry, performing at different events, including Remedy Nights. And since then, since putting down that hat, she's gone on to do lots of great work around the industry before finally coming up with this brilliant idea of creating this choir. And they've gone on to achieve so much. And not only has she achieved so much for herself, but she's also then been able to pass on that achievement to so many brilliant, amazing singers, giving them opportunities that they couldn't create for themselves if Natalie hadn't come up with this brilliant idea. We talk about life, we talk about some really hard things, and even though we recorded this a while ago, I still feel like a lot of it is relevant, and that there's a lot that you can take from this and gain inspiration from, and just recognizing that life is hard sometimes. Even though life can hit you in the guts, you can still get up and you can still go on to keep on achieving and not stay down. And this is certainly someone who has done more than just get back up. She's got back up and she has achieved an amazing amount. So much so that in 2020, I've got no doubt that House Gospel Choir is going to be selling out shows all over the country, rocking stages and festivals all around the world, and producing a quite magnificent album, dare I say. Hopefully it drops this year. Anyway, look out for the links below to find out more about Natalie, and listen on and enjoy my chat with Natalie Maddix. I think what would be good, because I remember booking you way back when, I remember meeting you way back when, I think it would be good just to give a little bit of that story, because I'm not too sure how many people know the story of Natalie Maddix, the singer-songwriter who used to gig with acoustic guitarists and do the circuit.
And spoken word, don't forget poetry.
And there was poetry in there as well. There was a lot of poetry, tell us a little bit about that part of your journey. How did you decide you wanted to start up in music, start singing and hitting the stage, and actually, taking that step from it being in your bedroom to actually going out and booking a gig and getting on a stage and performing to people? Where did all that come from?
That came from my friends, they in those, I think like all the, I just loved singing. And I think my friends were just sick of me singing all the time. Like, it's like, you either need to do something with it or shut up, like, seriously. So they were like, oh, have you heard about this? Or my friend's dad's got a studio, or I know a garage crew that needs a singer. Like, they literally, my friends pushed me and pushed me and pushed me and pushed me.
Amazing
and
group.
Made me, quite seriously. If it wasn't for them, I don't think, like, the first studio I ever went to, my friend had a Saturday job in a shop in Brixton, in a sweetie shop, and it was a guy that used to come in, and he was like, I produce and stuff, and she's like, you need to meet my friend. So she called me while he was in the shop buying whatever, and then we spoke, and that's how I made my first recording ever. Like, so if it wasn't,
how old were you then?
15.
Amazing.
15. So if it hadn't been for Donna, my little Jamaican princess, that wouldn't have happened. So, and that was a very interesting garage tune called Fly Away.
Okay.
And then it was like, okay, well, you've got a song now, you've got to go and perform it. And the only way I knew that people performed was that you dress up and you go and sing a song and try and look pretty and engage people somehow. So I did that for a little bit, and I was like, okay, but it was okay. It was kind of thrilling. But the thing I enjoyed the most was actually going to the studio and writing. And just watching the engineer do stuff that he wouldn't really explain to me what he was doing, but I'd ask. I'd be like, okay, so So you fade it and then you pan it left and right, and like whatever it was, that's what I was really interested in. So through the writing, I started doing more spoken word, and I was working at Harvey Nicks at the time because I dropped out of uni. It's just the mad one.
What did you study in uni?
I was doing law.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
right,
I know.
in the deep end.
This is what I'm saying. Like I think I was doing that to like make my family happy in a way. I've got quite a few solicitors and lawyers in my family. But yeah, that wasn't my thing. So
how did that go? We've already gone off.
Sorry.
No, but that's fine. How did that go down? Like you deciding to put that down. I mean, a lot of people don't always get the support from their family.
Yeah.
And follow through on that, what some might call a plan B.
Yeah.
Just because they don't want to disappoint their family or drop that down, you know?
Well, I didn't tell my mum that I dropped out. I dropped out I stopped going in like December, so I'd only literally been there for like 4 months, you know?
Wow.
And it was January when I made up my mind, but I was like, I can't tell her, so I've got to find a job, I've got to come out of the house every day. So my friend was working at Ghost in Harvey Nichols, and they had a position, so I used to pretend I was going uni, and I used to
Amazing.
It's so bad. So I did that for about 6 months until I did tell my mum. But by that point I'd already started looking for my new course because I knew I wanted to study.
Okay.
I just knew law wasn't right for me, so I took the rest of that year off, and no, I did not the whole year. I went back in September to Goldsmiths to do anthropology and media, which was just the perfect fit, actually.
Amazing.
And anthropology was the first thing I probably wanted to do when I was about 14, because I read Zora Neale Hurston's autobiography, and I was like, okay,
that's a big deal. Like I haven't touched that, but like that is a big author, a big person to be kind of delving.
But she was an anthropologist,
14.
and I found the book in like a charity bin, you know, when the library's getting rid of books. I think it's 50p, and I read it and I was just like, wow. And then I read Their Eyes Are Watching God, and I was like, cool, okay, anthropology, yeah, I'm into this, like culture, economics, history, this is my thing. Like I'm a bit nosy, I want to understand how things work. But yeah, I didn't really know how you could be an anthropologist, so that's why I went with law. So yeah, by the time I got back into uni, I still had really good mates that I read my poems or whatever, and they were like, there's this night going on, you know, you should go. And I was like, but how do you just stand there and read your poems? It's so personal. She was like, just go. It was my friend Lisa, actually. That's how I met, like, do you remember 3+1? Carl Ramsey and Darwood, and I went and watched them, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And Shortman as well. I was like, I can do that. So I started doing spoken words, and then slowly brought singing back into that, and met some really cool musicians, including yourself, who booked me for other stuff. And I just had a good couple years of studying a bit, working in retail or cinema or wherever I could make money, and singing. Yeah.
And when did that all start changing for you? When did you think, actually, I want to try something different, or this singing thing isn't quite working out, maybe I need to do something else? What did that look like for you?
I actually came here, I didn't quite finish uni, I was in my final year of uni, and I think I'd gotten a little bit, not bored, a little bit tired of trying to do things by myself. Like, I'd literally work every spare hour outside of studying to make money to go to the studio, and then you'd have 2 hours of studio time to nail it.
And you didn't need to pay for the studio back
then.
What do you mean? Yeah. You couldn't just do it in your bedroom.
Even if the studio owner was your friend,
you
had to have money, and you had to figure out where you were going to get the beats from. So there's a constant looking for producers, looking for musicians, looking for opportunities to perform, writing, making the money to go and make that work. And a lot of these gigs didn't pay. So yeah, it was all like, I just got a bit tired of it all. And I couldn't really figure out why I was doing it, but I knew it was because I loved singing. But didn't love it as much at a point, and I was a bit lonely of trying to do it all by myself. So a friend of mine said, "Oh, there's this organisation called Urban Development, and they're doing this course, and you can go and sing with other people." So yeah, from Brixton to Stratford, it's like the first time I've really been out of my ends in that way, and spent a week being tutored by Shola Amma and Jade Richardson, and really, really good industry advice as to how, you know, you could keep going with it. But the one thing I found really, really exciting was that I got to sing with other vocalists for the first time since maybe school or college. One of those vocalists was Labyrinth, the other was his sister Shazar. Do you remember, like, Lizzie, LJ? Who else was there? Cool. A lot of really great singers. Iman. And we were at Da Vinci Studio. Yeah, it was just, it was a lot of things for, like, just kind of blew my mind. But I knew that I loved being around other people in that creative space. And I was like, I don't want to lose that bit. So we came back to Urban Development. We were like, how could we continue this? And we started a thing with their blessing, with their help, called the Vocal Collective, that ran out of here every week. So I kind of ended up more in a teaching role or a mentoring role, and that developed into an educational job actually here. And yeah, that was it. That's kind of, I was like, okay, there's other things to do in music apart from just trying to look cute and sing, or you know, convince people that they should give you a chance. And yeah, that's kind of where.
And would you say that without that vocal collective experience, it probably, or it might not have helped you develop the idea for House Gospel Choir?
It's definitely had some bearing.
Yeah.
Like, I knew from then that, like, I loved being around other vocalists, and that, you know, I worked at Urban Development for 5 years, and eventually ended up being the program manager, and it's quite a good job actually. But again, I the more I did that job, the less I sang. So it's weird. Like, I started the Vocal Collective, that was the reason I was there, and then I kind of stopped singing within about a year.
Yeah.
So for the next 4 years, I sang very, very little. So I left because I needed to.
Did you find yourself missing it then?
Oh yeah, because it just makes me happy, even if I were not, like, singing on stage. It's not that, I mean literally just singing. And I found the more I worked in the music industry or worked in music, the less I sang, and that felt really wrong and ironic and strange. So sorry. So yeah, so in that time I had been hanging out with producers again and started making some house music, which is my other love. Like, I love house music. And I love raving. I'm not sure when I found time to do all this. When I think back, I don't think I slept very much in my teens and early 20s, you know.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there was a lot of, like, raving and then going to work and breathing vodka on the but yeah, it was good times. And don't drink vodka. It strips your singing voice completely. It's it's probably the worst drink. So yeah, I just wanted to sing, and I was really fortunate. I wrote, kind of worked with a producer called QB Smith, and produced a great song called Selfish Skies, and got to go to South Africa to tour it in Johannesburg, and yeah, it was just a beautiful reminder of that bit of it I'd miss. Yeah.
What was that like, being on stage in another country?
Magic, you know.
Was that the first time you'd done that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And yeah, so what were the big differences that you could see, kind of, yeah, just again being on a platform outside of the UK, outside of London?
Well, how well the song was received, because for a song that no one really knows here, which is quite cool, it was played on South African radio like every day for a year.
Wow. So
it was like I wouldn't say a hit, because no, like, major, like, at the time, house music was just, South Africans loved house music at that time. So they still do, but it's kind of evolved, and they're really into their more homegrown, authentic sounds rather than imported music, which is cool too, I think. So yeah, it was cool to go somewhere where people were coming to hear that song or knew the words. I was like, I just about know the words, but yeah, it was good. It was good, and I remember there was the second to last night we performed at a club called House 22, which is a really cool old like township place where they've made like the old huts, the old homes. They've knocked them through and made it into a club, so it's an open air club, and
mad.
It is a bit mad. So it's not like club like you'd think. It's almost like going to someone's house with like still got a bit of tarp, but it was just wicked. And I remember just looking out, and everyone was singing along, and I was like, this is how I want to feel. Like it felt to me at the time, it sounded good, like to see. And I just talked to my friend, and I was like, Tash, this is like. Sound like a choir, don't you think? And she was like, yeah, in some ways. And we finished the set and got on the dance floor, and I just had the most amazing night, and I hadn't had that in London in such a long time. I just thought, right, when I go home, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sing house music loud.
So that was the dance floor?
Oh, yeah.
That was the dance floor that's in your quote?
Yeah.
It's an epic quote. I really love it.
Founded on a dance floor in 2011.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. It was that dance floor in Johannesburg, and Tasha was like, do it then. That's what I mean about having, even if you've just got one brethren that believes in what you're saying or what you're doing, it's all you need sometimes. It's good to be able to self-motivate, but I think it's really hard to keep doing it. It's amazing to have a friend that believes in you, or even a group of friends, but just one, just one. So I came back, and I didn't do it. I was still working at Urban Development. It took me another few months to quit, and I went freelance as a tour manager.
So had you built up enough links for you to be able to just kind of pick up the tour management stuff?
Yeah, I started doing tour management for, do you remember Bigger Fish? And yeah, they're still going, doing the under 18s tours.
Okay, that's still like the same area, isn't it?
Yeah. So where were they at the time? Shoreditch. So I left Stratford, went to Shoreditch, and then started doing some work for Sirius. And yeah, just built up my contacts that way. And my ethos is work hard and be nice to everybody you meet, and they'll remember you and want to work with you again. And that's what I did. And it's not fake, it's actually really easy when you love what you're doing. So make sure you love what you're doing so that you can work hard and be nice at it, and then you'll get more work.
It's a big circle.
Yeah, it's a big circle. So yeah, I was able to sustain myself, but I still had this like dream of singing a bit more, and I just kept talking about it to people. Just, oh, would you come? And they're like, yeah, I'd come. It took another 3 years to even do one session, just slowly.
So what was that first like initial step to the formation of the choir?
I was actually doing some work on the Olympic Park when it reopened. We did a series of activations around the park to kind of bring it to life. And one of my roles was to curate, really weird actually how things happen, curate some choirs. So booked in quite a few choirs, and they performed around the park. And a group of the singers I used to work with at Urban Development, I was just like, oh man, I miss you guys, this is so cool. I'm actually working on this project. And they're like, yeah, if you do it, I'll come. And it was like that. I'm still like, I don't know how that's going to happen. But then I ended up speaking to one of the directors at Sirius, David Jones.
Okay.
And I told him about house choir, and I just like, oh yeah, I've got this thing I'm doing. It's house music as a choir. We're just going to sing. It's going to be fun. And he just came up to me in the park, like this is on the last day, and he's like, oh, you know, I've got a friend at another agency that's looking for a choir for Glastonbury. And I was like, he was like, maybe you could put one of the choirs you've booked forward for it. I was like, oh yeah, for sure. But it was there. Yeah, so I said it to a couple of my mates. I was like, this is happening. What do you think I should do? And they were like, well, you've been talking about putting together a choir for ages, just do it. I was like, let me see first. So I pulled together a rehearsal in a week. There was only 12 of us, but it sounded wicked. It was just wicked. So I called the guy back, because I said to him, yeah, I'm going to refer some choirs to you, because I wasn't trying to take the opportunity. If it wasn't good, I would have fully just said, you know, I don't know who could do it, or contact these people. But our first session banged. It did. It really did. I'm not just saying that. It had such a good energy, and people had just come fresh from work, you know, and all different types of people, not just like singers by any stretch of the imagination. You know, like first round had like a teacher, a couple professional singers, an architect, me who was a tour manager. Like it was really, really varied. Makeup artists. They were not people that sang all the time. And that was it. And then we had House Gospel Choir, and our first ever gig was the acoustic stage at Glastonbury.
Wow.
And our second gig was Latitude Festival. And our third gig was Buckingham Palace. For the Princes. I know. It was just meant to happen at that time.
Yeah.
It was meant, like, just be ready for the things you say you want. Definitely. So yeah.
Okay. And was that enough for you, or did it just kind of keep on evolving and you've seen a bigger picture and a bigger vision and wanting more, or were you kind of content with where you were at, but it just naturally just started coming and more people started jumping on board?
No, I knew that I wanted it to perform, but I think there was two things. It's like, how do we feel when we're in the room singing together, and can we get that good feeling of being united and really the message of we are one across to ourselves, to feel empowered when we go back to our job as a teacher the next day, and a dinner lady the day after that, like whatever it is. So there was that aspect, and then the show was giving the best of that, and the best of that is a live dance floor experience, is to make sure everybody in the building is vibing to house music with a gospel twist, or gospel music with a house twist, to feel elevated and invigorated, just like I did that night on the dance floor, like countless people do every weekend on the dance floor. Like that's the thing that I'm trying to capture. So there's the experience of it as an audience member and as a member of the choir. So in order to keep I knew enough about tour managing and developing shows and producing events to know that that project as an outcome would need music to sustain itself, recorded music.
Yeah.
And we'd need a good booking agent and a good management team. I had Sirius helping me for about a year with that stuff, and then we kind of parted ways, and I was the manager, the booking agent, the creative director, like the accountant. It's a lot of things, man. So to go from, and that was when I realised how much I wanted to do it, because I was able to keep going, and I prayed. I prayed, and I maintained a good energy around what I was doing, and walked in gratitude, like quite seriously though. And by the end of the year, had a booking agent, had the makings of a manager in one of our members, and we kept going from there.
Brilliant.
5 years later, well, it's about to be 5 years. April makes 5 years, and that was a goal. Can I get to 5 years with singing every week? Yeah, the answer is yeah.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Yeah.
So, really, everything we've spoken about has been pretty successful. Where have there been the kind of lows on the journey so far?
It's interesting that it sounds successful, and so I have to, sometimes I don't pause enough to know that is a marker of the success, and also, like I said, like someone that's not inside your project seeing it as success as well.
But even from what I've seen. So before we even talk about Coco, and you know, like that's a big deal. And oh my God, why can't I think of her name? Hobbs, Marianne.
Annie Mac.
Annie Mac.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't say Hobbs.
Marianne Hobbs too, though.
You know, like
Yeah.
big deals. You're here talking to me about your first gig being at Glastonbury. All right, we're not talking about the Pyramid Stage, but your first gig was at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
You did Latitude. You did Buckingham Palace. Like, you know, to say that as three first gigs, to talk about an idea that was generated in South Africa on a dance floor, to then pull that into fruition and make that happen. Again, monumental success, because so many people, and I put myself in that bracket as well, have these ideas in their heads, and they sit in their heads and they sit in their heads, and they never manifest it.
Yeah. Okay.
And you have not only been able to manifest it, but you've also been able to hit targets, hit goals, and achieve. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Like it,
Yeah.
I can't say we went, and then that's even before we talk about all of the lives that you're touching. So again, from my perspective, I know a few key members of your choir, and I see them having struggled for years, fulfilling maybe not the entire dream that they wanted, but singing on the stages that their voices were destined for, that they had never been able to get to on their own.
Yes.
But through your vision and your creation, you're allowing those people to, or you're allowing their voices and their art to be seen, to be heard, which is probably all they ever wanted.
Yeah.
At the core of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
To be the person behind that, that's massive. And that's success.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry.
Perspective. Thank you. No, I need talking to sometimes. I think, do you know, the only reason why I pause with claiming it as success myself is just because of how hard it was, man. Like, real talk, and how scary it was, and how much I had to cry to be brave enough to do that. And in the middle of it, my mum passed away, and since that time I've had key members, choir director, like key members leave because they believe it's something other than what it is. And you know, so much hard, difficult, dark things have happened to enable the light to keep shining, if that makes sense. So it takes sometimes it like just now it took your perspective to help me see that, because that's everything I wanted it to be. And when you talk about the individual members that have wanted those opportunities to do those things, I'm that person. You know, I'm the of course, who doesn't want to sing at Glastonbury? Who doesn't want to, you know, my vision for the choir was actually that I just want to open every Sunday morning. I want to open the biggest stage at every festival on the Sunday morning with gospel house music. I want to wake people up with that message and with that feeling. And when we went back to Glastonbury, not last year, the year before, we did that. We got to do Pyramid stage. The Pyramid, wow.
All in time.
In time. Call it. We got to do the Westholt stage, almost the biggest stage, at 11:45 on a Sunday morning, and people literally walked to the stage like blurry-eyed from the Saturday night. It's like, what's going on? Why is all this singing? Like, it's all this jumping around, and they've got straight in, like, and I got footage of it and just memories of that thing. So, yeah, there is so many things that have gone well, but like I said, like it's when you're in it and you're right up close to it, it's hard to pull back and see the success. But the people that have gravitated towards this project are some of the most beautiful, hardworking, talented, generous people I've ever had the opportunity to work with in my life. And those are people that are still there and people that have left. Like, if you've been a good member of House Gospel Choir, you've given and you've received. And there's some people that are still in that journey. And my biggest wish is that everyone is able to fulfill their own vision through it. I push the guys so hard to make sure they have a vision, because there's nothing worse than being inside someone else's vision and feeling like, oh, well, at some point, I don't know why this happens to people, it's a bit sad, like, not they don't resent it, but then they think, well, I'm giving so much to this, what would happen if I put it into my own thing? And that's the question, and that's why I keep saying to them, cool, I love that you're here, but don't stop here. Like, and so I've got members that are almost taking a sabbatical, working on their own projects, and they're like, I'm not gone, I'm back. And our mantra is like, once a member, always a member, so come back whenever you're ready, you know. So the difficult things, so the blessing is the people that populate, 'cause it's a choir, isn't it? So these people. And on the flip, I think some of the shit things, again, can be the people. When the people don't fully embrace the idea and the message behind it, and maybe feel like they're not getting what they came for. So those things I find difficult.
And how do you manage that within yourself?
Well, I'm really proud of this, because I don't get on with everyone. No one gets on with everyone. But I love everyone that comes and is part of this thing and shares. I really do, and I mean that. But I've never asked anyone to leave. In 5 years, no one's ever been fired or told they can't come to a session. Or so when people aren't fitting in with the vision or the mission and the goals of the choir and the project, they kind of remove themselves for a time. Some of them come back, some of them don't. And I always want to create the conditions for someone to stay because it makes sense for them, and leave because the next part of their journey is calling them. It's just unfortunate that sometimes when people are leaving, they need other reasons to leave, so they kind of make it into something else sometimes. I don't know.
That's people, though.
Yeah, I know.
You'll always look for another reason that doesn't, you're passing blame.
Yeah,
and not taking it on for yourself.
But the one that I need to go because I've got something to do, it's the best reason in the world. Like, that's a great reason to leave. You don't have to blame anyone. You can be scared, but like, go, get it cracking. So that's hard. People leaving, I always get sad. I really do. Especially people that give the best of themselves. Because I think, and you know, leaders, like people that are very good at sharing and giving direction. When those people leave, I'm always like, oh man. But
do you find new lieutenants in the masses, in the ranks, ready to step up? Do you see that developing?
I see it developing, and I always see people that want the opportunity to be in front. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're a leader.
Yeah, of course.
Or that they are the right leader for House Gospel Choir. We have a thing in each harmony section. We have a section head, one or two, and the old Latin phrase called my Latin's really shit. Primus inter pare, which is first amongst equals. So it doesn't mean you're any better than anyone else in the section. It just means that you might get the harmony a bit quicker. You're able to share that information with other people and really encourage people to be better. That's a leader to me. There's someone, but actually you're in service. So by serving other people, you're actually leading because you're being the focal point, but for the best of reasons. And a lot of people want people to listen to them without serving them. It's like, so what if you know the harmony? You know what I mean? Like, you get those ones that's like, I know what the song is, so you should listen to me. And it's a bit like, that's not the reason to listen to you. The reason to listen to you is because you're sharing with me. You know, you're giving me something in a wholesome way. And so those people always come through over time, and they get that.
Going back a little bit, so just touching on the loss. So I remember losing my father, who was always a massive supporter and was always at the shows and there as a massive cheerleader, and it took a long time to get my head.
When did your father pass?
So he passed, we'll talk about 7 years ago now. So yeah, there'd been lots of ups and downs in the Remedy career at that point. And yeah, I hadn't had kids yet, I hadn't got married yet either. I was still working in retail, still trying to work out the right path and the right way to attack this game. In a way that was still being true to myself, which is why I've never found myself in a label, despite having all of the qualities to be in a label. It's never sat right with me, and it took me a long time to get past it and to get to the other side and to get back to working on what my purpose was, and to take the lessons of that loss, because there are lessons in it. You don't see it at all, and it takes a while. Actually, funnily enough, what it did, I had a poetry event that was running in Greenwich, and a poet, Musa, did this poem about his dad's passport, and he was just talking about this passport picture that will never ever go to another country again, and I'm looking at this picture of you. And it dawned on me that actually, you're not the only one who's lost someone. It's if we're lucky, because I don't think a parent should bury their child. It's something we're all going to go through, and it can be a making of you. I think, and I'm just intrigued, given that you were in the process, as you've mentioned, of building this baby, to then lose that source of love. How did you find kind of getting past it and finding the motivation to, one, keep going, but two, find the lessons in the loss to push on, if that makes sense?
No, it does. It's a really deep question, Ash.
I know, sorry.
No. So I started HGC in April 2014. That's when we had our first session. And my mum was diagnosed with cancer in December.
Okay.
So we've been going for less than a year. And I remember we were doing a Christmas gig at the BT Tower, like up really high up on it, and I just couldn't stop crying because I just found out that day. And I think I told like one or two of the girls, and they gave me a hug, and they were like, you should let people know when you feel like it. And they all kind of just helped me. There was 12 of us, I think, and everyone just comforted me, and I got through the gig, and I sang, and by the end of singing the song, and somehow it was a bit of glue. It was like glue, because I was literally falling to pieces. I was like, can't get through this. But we only had 2 sopranos, so I had to do the job of it. Singing glued me together to get through that bit, and that's the only way I can think of it. So I moved in with my mum, actually, and I have my younger sister, who's Down syndrome, was my mum's youngest child. So I was responsible for looking after them for the year, and by 15th of October 2015, just under a year, mum passed.
So just a year?
Yeah, just under a year.
Wow.
So it was like really aggressive. Oh, sorry.
No, it's like...
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it was hard, but because I'd committed to looking after my mum, and I had other family members around, but because I lived there, it was just what it was. It's more than 24 hours. But every Monday, I sang, and so that was my night off, and I'd go to class, and just the act of singing with people glued me back together enough to get through the following week. And so when my mum passed, I took a few weeks off, and I really didn't know how to keep doing it, how to keep going. But those same people were just like, we got you, like, take all the time you need, come sing when you can. And I was still doing bits of work from home. And the whole choir, well, not the whole choir, like a selection of the choir came and sang at my mum's funeral. And that was just like, again, I don't know, just singing, hearing voices, singing harmony, like fitting in to something. It was just like, you're not by yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, even, and it is lonely. Like, you do, your grief is personal, no matter if you've got siblings, it doesn't matter. Like, you were going through what you're going through. And so to leave that space and fit in somewhere, and for my voice to make sense inside that thing, I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but it was like, it held me together.
Yeah.
It was like the glue in that respect. But the example my mum set, which was, she worked proper hard, like,
I think that generation was like, incredible.
Yeah,
those two generations before us were
6
went
kids,
through incredible. Wow.
6 kids, 2 jobs or 3 jobs depending on the season. 2 husbands. Sometimes it helped, sometimes it didn't. So her life was like testament to working hard to get what you need to get done. So I knew I couldn't stop doing anything. I think working actually helped me to do stuff, because if I hadn't have had that outlet or that space, probably would have gone down a bit, as it was already hard enough. But she taught me how to work through things, literally. And I'm not always sure that that's good. It's good in the sense that you get stuff done, but sometimes you have to pause too.
Yeah.
And luckily, because I had a great group of people around, and some really great friends, some of the best friends, I was able to pause as well, but also had that work ethic that kept me moving, because I just think standing still will go down even quicker, I think.
I think that's a very fair comment.
Yeah. So, yeah. You know, it's just making me think a lot, like, this, is it just past 2016, 17, 18? Yeah, it's been three and a bit years just gone. And it's still weird, like, still very, very weird, because she was everything, you know? And you know what the partner is? You know what a partner is? Yeah. So my mum was a partner woman, and so every Friday her house would become like the hotspot in a way. It was like family. She'd make fritters. People come drop off their money and chat for a bit. So we always had community around us as well. Like, and Jamaican culture, like our family. I don't know, I don't think anyone lives more than 5 or 6 miles away, really. And the furthest anyone lives from us now is probably Croydon.
Yeah.
Brixton, Croydon, yeah. So we grew up really close. But since she's gone, I realised how much that thing kept everyone together. Mm-hmm. I don't see my family as much anymore.
Yeah.
When she was ill, I took over the partner, and it lasted for maybe 4 or 5 months after she passed. So I was still seeing my family regularly coming round, and then it's like the partner's finished. It was really weird, like, and kind of being by yourself again. So, I've had some time. Travelled a little bit. And then last year realised that actually need some help. Need to talk to someone. Need to make sure that I am managing all of these things and all of this responsibility properly, because, you know, to go from having 12 members to, like, I think the most members we ever had was 150, 160.
Wow.
It's a lot of people to be thinking about every week.
Yeah. Plus
I'm the main carer for my younger sister now, and and I still want our family to be as close as possible. It's a lot of responsibility. So when it's like that, you have to make sure you're taking care of yourself, man. It's really important. It's really, really important.
Agreed. Wow.
Am I answering your questions or am I just going off on tangents? I'm sorry, I don't know.
You are?
Am I? Okay.
Yeah, no. The thing is, it's a conversation. And whatever comes out of it is whatever comes out of it, and whatever people take from it, hopefully they'll take from it. I've already heard loads to take from it, and I think there'll be plenty for others to take from it. So
good.
You are. It's I think it's going to be a good one.
Okay, good.
I know it's going to be a good one. What we're talking about. Right, clock's ticking. It's almost 8 o'clock. So you have been selling out shows. You've got the vision for live performances to be opening up on a Sunday morning. That's the target. Album on the way. What can people expect from the album that you're currently putting together?
A little bit of house, a little bit of gospel, and a lot of choir, isn't it? Like,
There we go.
Yeah, that's definitely what we're cooking up.
Okay. Any ideas when that's going to be dropping or when?
Well, we're submitting in a few weeks actually.
Okay.
So in April, we've been working on we signed the deal with Ireland on our 4th birthday last year, and I want to submit it by the 5th birthday.
Okay.
So yeah, we're almost there. Got working with some amazing producers. Got Toddler T on the album.
Wow.
DJ Spen. Mike Delinquent's working on something. Obviously, we worked with Wookie. Gosh, my brain.
It's alright. Those are 4 pretty strong names.
Yeah.
To lead off with.
Yeah. Lots of men actually, and we. So we were like, when we started, I had a long list of who could produce this, who could I give all my ideas to, and they just make it happen. And me and my manager, me and my manager Laura, she's brilliant, going through this list, and she was like, well, what do you want them for? I was like, well, to help, like to make the decision about what's good and what's not. And she was like, so who makes the decisions about what goes in the show right now? I was like, well, me, obviously, because she was like, but what's that based on? I was like, well, just my opinion, so you need someone else with musical understanding. She was like, what are you talking about?
Got it.
And she was just like, you can produce this album. And I was like, okay, thanks, Laura, but like, what else? Who else is on the list? And she was just like, nah, stop messing about. So I had to go away and have a word with myself and do some research about what a music producer is. And actually, I realised that the reason I didn't see myself as a producer is because I always thought of producer as boys. Because every time I'd gone to studios, or like I always thought of engineers as boys.
That makes sense.
So when I look for producer, I'm like, okay, Kanye, Timbaland, Pharrell, Neptune, producers I love. But where were the girl producers? And then I was like, okay, yeah, Missy. And then there was others. There's a really good. It's growing. It's improving. It's increasing. And Natalie Maddix is added to that number now, isn't it?
Amazing.
So yeah. And it is like the role of a producer is to make decisions about what will make something work. So I can sing a melody line, I can hum stuff, I can edit things. I know roughly what I'm doing, and I'm learning more every day. So it's not necessarily that I always thought the producer has to play keys or has to manage Pro Tools, or it's not actually. It's like someone that manages the whole project from beginning to end, and that's everything. We manage our own recording budget, which is a lot of fun. Being sarcastic. I actually like budgets a lot. Like,
it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I do. Excel, we're bridging. Yeah. So we've been doing a really good job with producing this album, and yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, as we wind down, I've already touched on it already, but well done you.
Thank you.
Like, amazing success from the outside looking in, as I've already said.
And well done you, because you kept like Remedy, because there were so many people doing nights that actually you didn't know what to trust. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no.
But because of the way you programmed and because of the quality that went in, whether it's the acts you booked or the band or the venues you chose, there was always this seal of approval almost. So when you knew Remedy was happening, if I'm going to turn up on any night, I know I'm going to have a good one. Like, it was never like, there's other nights of that have been running for a long time, and the sound in the venue is just like from 1981 or something. You're like, what is that? Or the lights go off, and they've got a name, but they're not really invested in the quality of it. But you gave us quality, and you gave us something that we didn't really have in our scene at the time, which was, structure and shape and branding, like, to be like, this is what you're coming into, this is the experience. And I can say for me that inspired me enough to be able to do what I'm doing. And you might not think that, but everything I've done leads to what I'm doing. So, massively. So, well done you. And thank you for the times you booked me. I think I did Remedy twice.
Yeah, you did. You did Croydon.
Yeah.
You did Camden.
Was it Croydon, the first one? No, you had one and you had one in Brixton, no? Oh, no.
That was Brixton.
No, Croydon, Camden, yeah.
Yeah.
So those were the two.
Good.
And they were good nights.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times, definitely. I don't know. I don't know.
Are we going to get some more Remedy?
I am. My ego would love to have a monthly regular night that's just there, that's staple, kind of like what Jazz Refresh has done.
Yeah.
To just always be there and to be that staple, because I do think we do it better than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of things going on for us. That thing that you kind of touched on earlier with people leaving and teams changing.
Yeah.
To be able to be in a position to generate that is tricky. When I lost my team, that's when it kind of lost momentum, and it's hard to pick that momentum back up and find those new people. But also family life. I have two kids that need me around. I have a daughter who wants to be a singer and is telling me about how much she loves singing, I've got to be there to nurture that.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't want to be doing a night where I can't pay people anymore. It's, again, there's levels to it all, and when you're at a level where you're past that, you don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
So it's just being able to finance it, and unfortunately, this game, venues are closing down all the time.
Yes.
It's very hard to make money on the business side of the venue, let alone you as a promoter, trying to get people through the door, willing to pay, put money towards these young people's futures and their development. So it's a hard sell. So there will always be one-off gigs. If I can find a way to bring other things in to finance things, who knows? Maybe there is a young Ash Remedy out there who needs a mentor, and I can nudge in the right direction and guide a little bit and take the brand on to other things. But I can't stop supporting people.
Yeah.
It's in me, and that's why I always carry on posting. That's why we're starting this podcast, or restarting this podcast, because we did a podcast like 10 years ago.
Really?
Things like that are very frustrating when you see how close you were to really just pushing on to something completely different. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I've come back. I've come here from school, and I've seen 30 year 4 kids take part in a vocal workshop. Tomorrow I'm going to be looking after 3-year groups, so that's 150 kids are all going to perform on their violin instruments in front of parents and other students across the day.
Wow.
And I'm looking after that.
Yeah.
I have a different gig now. I'm giving people a different start on their musical
It's a lead is to
journey.
serve though, Ash. And you've been you really...
And that's what I do.
Yeah, you're a proper leader.
That's what I do. So, there's like you've touched on, there's different things you can get out of this music game.
Yeah.
I never thought teaching music. I thought you're selling a dream to people that you know, the chances of people actually getting this record deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that. You get so much more from music. You've talked about it helping you through your grieving process.
Yeah.
Like these kids, every time they get up on a stage and perform, there's something, there's self-esteem building in them. There's confidence in them that they won't see now.
Yeah.
But 10, 15 years time, they'll look back and remember that time they did that string concert.
Yeah.
You know, or the teamwork, or the discipline, or all of these things that come with learning music,
Yes.
and learning the language of music, that is more than just the stardom.
Way
and
more.
can build you to be a great lawyer, to be a great politician, to be an architect, you know, all of those things.
Yeah.
Like, so I have a much better outlook on music education and what it can do for people, and I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
And I'm reasonably happy. Not at the end of the journey yet.
The vision's there, right? So
Yeah.
it's like what was it that Fusionary says to me? Forward is the motion, the path is negotiable. So like how you get there, that's not really the thing you need to figure out. You just have to get up every day
And keep doing it.
And right.
That's key.
It's
Taking
when you
action.
stop. Yeah, it's when you stop. Like there's no chance. There's zero chance of you getting where you want to be if you stop. But there's every chance if you keep going. It's just it's so simple. It's hard work. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's simple. Yeah.
So tie it up.
Yeah.
We've been going for over 10 years now. If you could go back 10 years and talk to a young Natalie Maddix, what would you tell her?
Don't worry, babes. That's fine. Like seriously, I used to worry so much. I had a lot of fun, but I was just trying to do everything and thought I had to do everything by myself. Like collaboration is key. Working with great people is necessary. Even if you're going to be a solo artist, you have to have, I wouldn't even say a solid team, because that's what everyone talks about these days, having a team. When I started building the choir, I wasn't thinking about having a team, I was thinking about the choir of singers. And from that, actually, there's so many different skills, so many different types of people involved. That's how we figured out how to have a social media person or a community manager. They're all the people that sing in the choir.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't worry. Like the things that you have, everything you need to get started. So just do it, and everything else will come.
I like that. Natalie Maddix.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, Ash. Oh.
Thank you so much for getting to the end and listening all the way through. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that there was a lot that you were able to take from it. If you do, please share. Pass this on to a friend, pass it on to a fellow creative, or pass it on to someone who needs inspiration or who may have suffered a loss and, you know, again, needs that motivation or needs that inspiration that things will be all right and you can move on. Do check out the links below to find out more about Natalie and what she's up to, and also what we're up to at Music is Remedy. So much going on in 2020, and if you like the podcast, then please make sure you are following it, that you are liking it, that you're subscribing to it, however you are digesting this, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever. I'm just glad that you're with us and joining us on the journey. So yeah, share, spread the word, and yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And stay locked for more podcasts and interviews with incredible artists from the UK scene. This is Ash Remedy. Thank you for listening. Until next time, later.